The rain poured relentlessly against the windshield as Daniel drove down the deserted country highway. It was almost midnight, and the road ahead was swallowed by fog. He turned up the radio, trying to fight off the uneasy silence that crept into his chest. That's when he saw her. A girl stood at the side of the road, drenched, her pale dress clinging to her skin. Her hair hung over her face, and she raised one trembling hand, asking for a ride. Daniel hesitated for a moment. Something about her felt off. But the storm was merciless, and leaving her there felt wrong. He slowed down and rolled down the window. "Need a lift?" he called out. The girl nodded silently, eyes still hidden beneath strands of wet hair. She climbed into the back seat, shivering. "Where are you headed?" Daniel asked. "Home," she whispered. "It's just down the road." He nodded and drove on, the wipers swishing rhythmically. For a while, the only sound was the hum of the engine and the rain tapping the roof. Daniel kept glancing at the rearview mirror. The girl just stared out the window, expressionless. After a few minutes, she finally spoke, her voice distant. "Be careful. This road isn't safe at night." He frowned. "Why's that?" But she didn't answer. He looked again in the mirror. The back seat was empty. His hands gripped the steering wheel, heart racing. The door hadn't opened, the window was still fogged. She was just gone. A chill crawled down his spine. Then, as he turned a corner, he saw it. A small roadside memorial, candles flickering in the rain, and a photo of the same girl, smiling beside a bouquet of wilted flowers. The rain fell harder now, drumming against the windshield in frantic rhythm. Sam turned on the wipers, their slow sweep barely keeping up. The girl sat quietly beside him, her gaze fixed on the dark road ahead. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The air felt heavy, not just with moisture, but with something else. A silence that seemed alive. Finally, Sam tried to break it. "So, where are you headed?" The girl turned her head slowly. Her eyes caught the dim glow of the dashboard lights, pale, almost glassy. "Home," she said softly. Her voice was faint but calm, too calm. Sam nodded, though unease prickled at the back of his neck. "Home, huh? Not many houses out this way. You live near the ridge?" She hesitated. "Near there." Something about her pause made his skin crawl. He noticed now how wet her dress still was, though the heater had been on for miles. The scent of rain lingered in the air, sharp and cold. Sam cleared his throat. "You must be freezing. There's a blanket in the back seat if you—" "I'm fine," she interrupted, her tone firm but polite, then softer. "Thank you for stopping." Sam gave a nervous laugh. "Yeah, no problem. Wouldn't want to leave someone out in this storm." She smiled faintly, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. They drove in silence again. The headlights sliced through the fog, revealing only wet asphalt and endless rain. The world outside seemed empty. No cars, no signs, just the rhythmic tap of raindrops and the hum of the engine. Then, from the corner of his eye, he saw something strange. Her reflection in the side window didn't move when she did. He blinked hard, convincing himself it was just a trick of the light. A few minutes later, the girl spoke again, her voice barely audible over the rain. "You should slow down. There's a curve ahead." Frond, "How did you—" Before he could finish, the headlights illuminated a sharp bend in the road. He hit the brakes just in time, the tires skidding on slick pavement. His heart pounded. She had been right. When he turned to look at her, she was staring out the window again, expression unreadable. "How did you know that turn was there?"
he asked, his voice shaky. The girl didn't answer. Sam felt a chill creep down his spine. The only sound was the rain, and the faint hum of her whisper, almost lost in the storm. "I've ridden this road before."
The storm raged harder as Sam drove deeper into the forest road. Branches bent under the weight of rain, and thunder rolled above, echoing through the hills like a warning. He couldn't stop glancing at the girl beside him, quiet, still, almost ghost-like in the dim light of the dashboard. Her white dress clung to her, damp and old-fashioned, the kind you'd see in black and white photos from decades ago. Sam tried again to ease the tension. "So, you said you're going home? What's your name?" A long pause. Then softly, "Lila." It suited her somehow. Fragile, melodic. He smiled nervously. "Well, Lila, I'm Sam. Guess we're both unlucky tonight, huh? You with the rain, me picking the darkest road in the state." No answer. The silence stretched until it became unbearable. Sam gripped the steering wheel tighter, the rhythmic thunk-thunk of the wipers syncing with his heartbeat. Then faintly, he heard her whisper, "They never see it coming." "What?" he asked, startled. But when he turned, she was staring ahead again, her expression calm. Too calm. He forced a laugh. "You're full of mysteries, you know that?" No reply. Just the faint sound of water dripping from her hair onto the seat. Minutes later, a faint light appeared ahead, a small roadside diner, its neon sign flickering weakly in the rain. Hollow Point Cafe. Relief washed over Sam. "Finally, civilization. You hungry?" Lila turned to him then, her eyes strangely distant. "I can't go in there." Sam frowned. "Why not? It's just a diner." But when he looked toward the diner again, something made his stomach drop. The place looked wrong. The neon light didn't flicker anymore. The windows were dark, the parking lot empty. And yet he could swear he saw silhouettes moving inside. He blinked, and the lights were out completely. The diner was abandoned. A chill ran through him. "That's impossible. I just saw—" "You shouldn't stop. He's close." "Who?" She turned to him slowly, her soaked hair clinging to her face. Her expression was unreadable, but her voice trembled when she spoke. The one who never forgave." Before Sam could react, the radio crackled to life, a burst of static, then an old song playing, faintly, warbling through the interference. It was a tune from the 1950s. Lila's hand twitched. "Turn it off," she whispered sharply. "Please." Sam reached for the dial, but the knob was freezing cold like ice. The radio flickered, and through the static a man's voice came. "Lila, you left me on that road." The car engine coughed, then roared back to life, but the radio wouldn't stop hissing. Sam twisted the dial furiously, his knuckles white. What the hell is going on? Through the static, the man's voice returned, calm, cold, and heartbreakingly clear. "You promised, Lila. You said you'd come back." Sam turned to the passenger seat. Empty. His heart skipped a beat. She was gone. The passenger door hadn't opened. There were no wet footprints. Nothing. Just the faint scent of rain and something old, like wilted flowers. "Lila?" His voice cracked. "Where are you?" Lightning split the sky, illuminating the forest road. For a moment, he saw her, standing in the middle of the road, pale and dripping, her dress fluttering as if caught in a wind that didn't exist. Sam slammed on the brakes, the tires screeched, the car spun, and he came to a stop just feet from her. Panting, he pushed open the door and stumbled out into the rain. She was there, staring at him. But her eyes, they glowed faintly, reflecting the headlights. "Why did you stop?" she asked softly.
You shouldn't have stopped." Sam's voice trembled. "You disappeared. What's happening to you? Who was that on the radio?" She took a step closer, her bare feet silent on the wet asphalt. "You heard him too, didn't you?" The rain fell harder, drumming like 1,000 heartbeats. Sam could barely hear his own thoughts. "Lila, please, just tell me what's going on." She looked down, clutching her hands together as if remembering something painful. "It happened right here, on this road. The curve ahead." Sam glanced past her, following her gaze, and froze. Through the sheets of rain, he could see a wreck. Rusted, twisted metal half buried in the mud, headlights still faintly glowing, though the car must have been there for decades. A chill crawled up his spine. The model. It was the same as his. "Lila, that's impossible." Her voice cracked. "He was driving. He missed the turn. I begged him to slow down." Her trembling hand pointed toward the wreck. "I never made it home." Thunder roared above them. Sam felt his chest tighten, the pieces falling into place. She wasn't lost. She was trapped. He swallowed hard. "You're not real, are you?" She looked at him, eyes full of sorrow. "Real enough to remember." Then the radio inside Sam's car blared again, louder, distorted, almost screaming now. "She left me to die, Sam. Don't let her do it again." Sam turned toward the sound, but when he looked back, Lila was gone once more. Only the fog remained, curling around the old wreck like a ghost's embrace. And through the mist, a single headlight began to glow, approaching fast.
The Vanishing Hitchhiker, Part 5, The Man in the Mist. The headlight grew brighter, one beam cutting through the storm like an eye watching him. Sam stumbled backward, shielding his face from the glare. The sound of an engine rumbled closer, slow and deliberate, as if the driver knew exactly where he stood. "Leela?" he called out, but the name was swallowed by thunder. The light flickered once, then 2 headlights appeared, illuminating the wet asphalt. A vintage car emerged from the fog, the same make and model as his own. Its chrome grille was twisted, its windshield cracked like a spiderweb. Sam's breath hitched. It wasn't possible. That car had been lying wrecked just moments ago. The driver's door creaked open. A figure stepped out. He was tall, drenched, wearing a soaked trench coat. His face was pale, almost colorless, except for the streaks of mud and blood across his cheek. His eyes, though, they burned with something between rage and sorrow. "Who are you?" Sam asked, voice trembling. "You took her," he said calmly. "You promised you wouldn't." "No, I was just giving her a ride. She needed help." "Help." He stepped forward, boots splashing in the puddles. "Do you think you can help what's already gone?" Lightning flashed. For a moment Sam saw Leela standing behind the stranger, her eyes wide, pleading silently. Then she vanished again, as if the storm itself had swallowed her. Sam backed toward his car. "You're not real. None of this is real." The man smiled faintly, though his eyes stayed dead. "That's what I told myself too, before the crash." The words froze Sam in place. The rain seemed to fall slower now, each drop echoing louder than his heartbeat. "You were driving," the man continued, his voice dropping to a whisper that cut through the storm. "You missed the turn." "No, I didn't," stammered Sam, shaking his head. "That wasn't me, that was you." The stranger stepped closer until they stood face to face. His eyes flickered with the reflection of lightning, and in that flash Sam saw it, his own reflection staring back. The man smiled faintly. "There's no difference anymore." The sound of metal groaning filled the air. Sam turned. His car was changing, twisting, the same rust and decay overtaking it, headlights dimming. "Leela's still waiting," the voice whispered behind him. "You should finish the ride." Sam felt something cold touch his shoulder, and when he turned, there was no one there. Only the fog. Only the echo of his own heartbeat syncing with the hum of a distant engine starting once again. The storm had quieted. The fog hung heavy and still, like the world itself was holding its breath. Sam stood in the middle of the road, soaked to the bone, staring at his car, now rusted, lifeless, ancient. The engine hummed faintly, though no one sat inside. The door swung open slowly, creaking, almost inviting him. "Lila?" he whispered. His voice trembled. "Where are you?" A soft voice drifted through the mist. "I never left." She stood by the roadside, just where he had first found her, pale dress torn, hair glistening with raindrops, her eyes impossibly sad. Sam stepped closer. "I'd tried to help you. I didn't mean to." She smiled faintly, shaking her head. "You did help me. You came back." The wind howled faintly, carrying whispers, familiar ones. The sound of laughter, screams, tires screeching. Then the crash. The same crash he'd heard 100 times in his nightmares. Sam's heart sank as memories flickered back like film reels. The rain, the dark road, the girl on the shoulder, and his voice. "Don't worry, I'll get you home." But he'd looked down for just 1 second, one heartbeat too long, and the headlights had filled the windshield. Then nothing. His eyes widened. "No," he whispered. "That can't be." Lila stepped closer, her face calm, almost peaceful. "You didn't survive that night, Sam." The road around them shimmered, reality bending. The trees faded into silhouettes, the world losing color. His car stood behind him, whole again, shining like new. The passenger door opened. Lila smiled softly. "It's time to go home." Sam hesitated, tears mingling with the rain. "Home?" She nodded. "The road doesn't end here, it just changes." He took a step forward, then another. The world grew dimmer, quieter. As he reached the car, he looked back one last time, the forest, the fog, the empty highway, all of it fading. The engine roared to life as they sat inside. The radio crackled softly, playing the same old song that had filled the night of the crash. Lila turned to him, her eyes gentle. "You were never cursed, Sam. You were lost." And as the car drove into the mist, disappearing into the endless road, her voice echoed faintly through the fog. "Some rides never end. They just find their way home."